Everybody, it's Bob from Repxotica, and today we're going to go over how to set up Uromastyx and their care. They're some of our favorite animals. We carry a lot of them. We've bred them several times, several different species, and they are good sellers for the store, and actually they're really a great option for our customers because strictly vegetarian for the most part. So good option. Generally a pretty docile animal, and I think you guys will really like this. We're really good at this one too, so we know a lot about them. Should be a very helpful video. They come from Africa and the Middle East basically, and they come from kind of the hottest, most miserable parts of the world. But there are some that are basically a low, flat kind of a lizard with spiny tails, known as spiny-tailed agamids or dab lizards. And for the most part, they're vegetarians and seed eaters. They will consume some animal matter from time to time, and some species do like it more than others. But in general, we feed them assorted types of greens with some vitamins on them, and lentils. Lentil seeds are a staple of their diet. So if you ask me, they tend to eat more greens and whatnot in the spring and early summer, and as the season goes on, going into fall, they will go into more of a seed diet, and certainly through the beginning of winter, almost all seeds. Keeping these guys, a couple of things to remember. Generally, we're going to recommend for most species that range in that 12 to 15, 16, 18 inch range, a 3 or 4 foot cage. For a single animal, 36 or 48 by 18 inches deep. Probably you want it. You don't want a real tall cage too, because you want your lighting to be really very close to the animals. So the cage, when we set up the cage, a couple of things to think about. Lighting is super critical. So if you're a little on the tight side with money and UVB and all that other stuff, probably not a good animal for you. But if you want something that you're going to put some money into the lighting. They're excellent, very long-lived animals. Can live over 20 years. We've had pairs for over 22 years. But the cage, you're going to set up basking spots that hold the temperature of 120 to 130 degrees, and the cool end is probably going to be around 90 degrees. So, and then you're going to try and have a UVB, a 10.0, and a worst case scenario 5.0, but a 10.0 is better, going over the length of the tank. So you want the entire tank to be lit up really brightly. So now we know we have a fairly large cage for the animals, lots of heat and lots of light. Substrate, two ways to go, and your choice. You go with sand, or you can go with white millet seed. What we've been using lately has been a layer of sand with a thin layer of the millet seed over it. Reason being, these guys like to burrow, so the sand allows them to do that. Yet the millet is something they will eat somewhat regularly. But it's also good if you feeding them with the greens and they get out onto the substrate, that you're not going to have sand all over your greens. The animal's eating a lot of sand. So, another little tip that we use for a basking spot is tile, ceramic tile. You generate your bulb over the top of that, and the heat, makes an incredibly hot spot in the middle, and then it gets, spreads out to a warmness, and the animals will pick exactly where they want to be on a basking standpoint. So to tie all that in, not a lot of decorations other than rocks. We use the light stuff, but you can use whatever you want. Just be careful. Animals will dig under it. They will push under it. They can get inside the crevices and puff up and knock things over. And if you're using very heavy stuff, you can have accidents. So just be careful around that. And we don't offer them water. Every once in a while, we'll give them a bath. If the animals are very healthy and doing well, they won't need much water. I've had animals that didn't see any water in my care for 7 years, and they didn't dehydrate, they didn't lose weight, they didn't nothing, so they're built to live like that. But if you do see one dehydrating, you can obviously spray the environment a little bit just for a day or so, or put a shallow water dish in for a little bit, or give it a soak. They are one of the few reptiles that actually can take water in through their skin. Most reptiles have a waterproof skin, these guys do not. So, but it's not something you should need to do regularly. If you need to do this regularly, there's probably something wrong. And that's the Uromastyx, actually one of our that. Today we're going to set up a Uromastyx Lizard cage, and that's.
We're recording.
Buddy, it's Bob from Repxotica. Uromastyx Lizard cage, and this.